Well, hello everybody, Ivan here. Hello everybody, Ivan here. We're going live again. We got another live scissor cutting video because you asked for some scissor cutting videos. I had requests from some of my friends on social media, so I wanted to jump right into it. I want to share with you my basic top cutting sectioning pattern for dealing with guy haircuts. This is any guy haircut in which the hair on the top of the head is long enough to hold in my fingers. So we got a guy here, he's got plenty of hair on the top of his head. And we're going to take you through the pattern. I'm first going to show you the pattern. I'm going to draw a little doodle for you here. I'm going to draw a picture of a guy's head viewed from above. All right? That's a guy's head, and we're looking down on the top of him. We're looking down on the top of him. We're looking at him. If I can swing, I can't swing the camera. Okay, I'm too close to the backdrop. But down from above at the top of this guy's head. That's your head. So my sectioning pattern looks like this. I'm going to do that. That line right there indicates the front hairline along the top of the head. So I'm going to do this. I'm first going to take this section right here at the top of the head. I'm going to call that section 1. After I do that section 1, we'll move on to section 2. We'll come back to the note and we'll move on to section 2. I want the hair damp enough that I can work with it just a little bit. I don't want it dripping wet. I use a water bottle a lot of times in the shop to get people damp enough that I can control and work with the hair. And I also like cutting with product in the hair. Product in the hair, whether it is a little bit of styling gel or a little bit of, and this is my favorite, is my Clipper Guy Classic Wax. I'm going to take just a little bit of Clipper Guy Classic Wax on my finger, and I'm going to use my Clipper Guy Classic Wax. See how much I have there? Not a whole lot. I'm going to use my Clipper Guy Classic Wax as a cutting product. The reason I like this as a cutting product is it helps me get nice clean sections. It helps me get better tension, better distribution, and better control of the hair as I'm working through the head. Also, by the time I'm done with a haircut, the hair's dried down a little bit. I've got product in the hair. It makes styling quicker and easier as well. So there's a few good benefits for working with product in the hair. And again, in this case, it was my Clipper Guy Classic Wax. You can get a jar of that online at clipperguy.com, and you can check that out. So, going to my little doodle diagram, section 1 is that section from the front hairline through the top crown right there. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to take that section. I'm going to show you exactly how I top cut like this. I take a parting, nice clean parting. I'll split it out to the side. Now, normally I wouldn't use grippers in the top of the head like this, but for demo purposes here, I'm going to use the grippers just to help you see it better. I wouldn't need the grippers on a live client in the shop. So I take 2 parallel partings from the front hairline through the top crown. Boom. Now I'm going to take him off the stand and show him to you. You see that right there? I got messages popping up while I'm trying to talk to you. That's that top center section right there. I got a gripper on each side down the middle. That's that section 1. Now I'm going to cut that section 1, and we're talking scissor cutting. I use my zoot comb. I'm using the large side, but I'm getting into the finer teeth to help me control the hair. So I grab this section, fingers follow comb, scissors follows fingers, and I'm combing straight up off the top of the head. Notice I'm not 90ing this. I'm drawing this straight up. I'm maintaining good tension distribution and control. I'm combing straight up off the head. The head's curving down, but my line is staying straight across. I went top dead center forward. Now I'm going to go from top dead center to the back. The clippers, the grippers help to maintain control of the hair. Don't cut past that second knuckle. Fingers follow comb, lever it up, scissors follow fingers, grip and regrip, and there you go. I've cut that top center section. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, And I do this when I cut the tops of male clients all the time. This is my system. I'm going to do what I call widening my guide. Here's what I'm going to do. This right here is now section 2. See the 2 below and see the 2 little lines on that 2. Instead of having the narrow section down the middle, I'm expanding it out wider. So watch what I do. I'm going to take my sectioning grips out of the hair. I'm going to comb the hair straight back. Now, I know I have my narrow guide down the center, but I want to widen that. So I'm going to hop a little bit over to one side of center, and I'm going to strike a parting. Notice how that little bit of wax in the hair helps me get a nice clean parting and a good even line. I'm going to take a second parting on the other side of center. So now instead of having that narrow top center parting, now I got essentially what looks like a fat mohawk. No problem. Now for your visual purposes, I'm going to use grippers to segregate this. Once again, I want to reinforce, I wouldn't use the grippers on a live client. I would just work free. But for your purposes, demonstration and understanding, parting, parting, gripper, gripper, wide mohawk. Now, we all understand that in the middle of this wide mohawk is a guide. I am now going to take perpendicular sections. So here we go. I'm going to get my little doodle out. I'm going to draw my perpendicular sections. See how that doodle has advanced? Those sideways lines that go from parting to parting, they go from parting to parting across that center section with the little bit of guide down the middle and 2 uncut sections on either side is what we're going to cut. So we go back to our scissors, we go back to our zoot comb, and we go perpendicular now. I'm going to come in. These are subsections. Think of it as partings leading to sections, and within those sections, I break out subsections. So now, I take a subsection from here. Just this amount at the front. When I comb it up, what are you looking for? Straight up. What you're seeing, and boom, there it is the short guide in the middle with the longer hair on either side. Connect, comb and regrip. Comb follows finger, fingers follow comb, scissors follows fingers. That is that one section. Now I'm going to go back behind it, and I'm going to take a second one, and I'm going to comb it up. Now, I'm going to ignore the first section, and I'm going to ignore the hair behind it, and I'm simply going to comb up the second section. I'm going to get out of my own way against the backdrop, and you see the guide is in the center, longer hair, longer hair. If you can't see it, don't cut it. Can't see the guide, don't cut. Comb it up, boom, match it to the guide. Comb and regrip, boom, match it to the guide. Now, we'd go back to the next parting, but I'm going to add one little layer of even better precision cutting. Rather than hopping back and taking a whole new section, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a parting, and I'm going to take a little bit of that section that I just cut, a little bit of the prior section, and I'm going to add to it the new section behind it. So essentially, as I move my way back, I have section 1. Then I have half of 1 and half of 2. Then I have half of 2 and half of 3. Half of 3 and half of 4. Every time I move back in these sections, I'm going to keep a little bit of the front one. So now not only do I have that little guide in the middle, but I have a horizontal guide within it as well. That's going to reinforce my guide. Fingers follow comb. I see guide and little guide inside. Comb and regrip, and don't cut past the second knuckle. And I will complete this all the way through this section. I'm going to take a little bit of that last section and a little bit of new section. And I only probably need about 3 more of these to finish this out. Getting to the top crown of the head where the hair is going to be the shortest. That looks nice. Comb it up. Comb it back. And I'm going to continue my way. Ah, look at that. Look at all that. There's my guide. Comb it up. Cut it off. Beautiful. Last section. Get rid of a bunch of the stuff in front of it. Come back here to the top crown. I'm all the way at the top of the head. I have the guide in the middle and the guide from the section just immediately in front of it. Clean. Super good. Nice. Now, that whole top center section is cut. This is what I called widening my guide. So let's go back to the doodle. If we go back to the doodle, this whole top section has been cut. Now, I'm going to cut one side and then the other. I'm going to go to the right and I'm going to go to the left. Now, I'm going to take a center parting. I'm going to go back to, we've never actually had a center parting because we had the partings on either side of the narrow center spot, and then we had the widen the guide. So for the first time now, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my grips out. I'm going to comb this hair back. I'm going to split this right down the middle. Don't always go by the nose because the nose isn't always in the middle. If you ever really take a look at people. People are kind of funny. Split them right down the middle. Now, if you've been paying attention all along, you now know we have guide on both sides of the center part. So now, having put in a center part, and I'm going to draw a center part on here. I drew it all the way through the 2 and I put a 3 on it like that. I've got a center part. That center part splits the top guide. The Mohawk guide's been split in 2. Now, I am going to take partings, and I'm going to draw them here, and deliberately I'm extending them out off the side of the head. These partings now go from the center parting all the way out. See all these long partings here? I'm going to bracket these. We'll call them 4. Look at them in the doodle, that little 4 on there. Those all contain half a mohawk as my guide and all the hair on that side of the head. This is going to let me finish out my top cut. Let's go back to it and see what it looks like. Now, because we put a top center parting in there, just for your visual benefit, I'm going to lay a gripper on his head. Boom. That side of the haircut, we're going to ignore. There we go. I go to the top. I take a vertical parting, comb the other hair out of the way, take all this hair and walk it up. There's not much to cut here. Fingers follow comb, scissor follows fingers, grip and regrip. Everything on this whole top now reaches that level. Take a portion of it, just like we did before. Get rid of a portion of it. Take a portion of it as reused to the next section. I'm going to comb up this next second section. Notice I'm going down low. I'm walking it all the way up from down low. I'm getting into my zoot comb, into the narrow teeth at the base of the comb. Fingers follow comb all the way up. There's your guide. Fingers follow comb. Scissor follows fingers. Boom. Dead straight. Beautiful line. Let's continue. Drop it out. Comb it away. Comb it again. Draw it up. draw it up. There it is. And you're good. And we'll continue that process. Get rid of some of what we've already cut, have a little bit of what's previously been cut in our comb and in our fingers and in our section to serve as our guide, and draw it up and cut it off. Now, one of the favorite phrases of hair cutters throughout the ages, repeat on the opposite side. So what I would do now is I would, off that center parting, put my gripper on this side, because this side's all good. Now we're going to cut this side. We're going to go back to the center parting, and we're going to go out the other direction. The only difference is, instead of standing behind my client and working this way, I'm going to turn the chair. Turning the chair will allow me to stand in front of my client. It'll keep my guide at the top. I'm going to take my sections, segregate, comb it up, fingers follow scissors, walk it all the way up, match it to my guide. Split it. Half of it gets left alone, half of it comes with me to the next section. Comb it back, comb it up, fingers follow comb, scissor follow fingers. Boom! There we go. Let's do it again. Notice my parting. That was the back edge of my previous section. Now I'm going to take two. I'm going to take section 3 with a bit of section 2. Into the throat of my zoot comb. Notice how I use the handle on the zoot comb to hold it. I come in and I get that hair at the bottom of the teeth where the narrower teeth grab for better tension. That's why this is such a universal comb. It's a beautiful comb for scissor over comb. It's a beautiful comb for trimmer work. It's a beautiful comb for clipper work. It's designed to be the ultimate men's hair cutting comb. Whatever tool you use, scissor, clipper, trimmer, razor, whatever situation you find yourself in, your zoot comb becomes an ideal choice. Lever that up, grip and regrip into the throat of the comb for tension, and we'd continue our way back. So that is our cutting plan. That is what it looks like in action for top cutting on our guy haircuts. That lets us cut even and flat, parallel. Now, you could 90 and round it if you wanted it more curved. This lets us maintain the corner, which is that masculinity. I also want to put right here in the comments, I'm going to put the link to the podcast. I'm excited to announce I've launched that podcast. I've been podcasting quietly through one of my sites, but now the podcast will be available on Spotify. It's going to be available on iTunes. It's the weekly $100,000 Hair Cutter podcast. We're going to be talking about tips and tricks and ideas and information to help you build and grow your business. It's totally free. You can subscribe to the podcast, listen whenever you want. Every week I'll put a new one up. Once I get a bank of them up there, you'll be able to download them all and go in and listen to tons of content. And when this live video from from Facebook gets saved to YouTube, I will include the podcast link in the description of the video. Thank you so much for joining me for another scissor cutting video. I got one more left. Next up, we're going to go to scissor over comb technique, and we're going to explore that a bit, and I'm excited to have you there with me. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.